When you feel like quitting, remember why you started. Success isn't owned by the gifted. It's earned by the relentless. The moment you want to give up is the moment you must push harder. And one day, the pain you feel today will be the strength you carry tomorrow. There's a quiet truth most people don't talk about. It's not failure that destroys dreams. It's giving up. Just before things start to change. In Austin, where the streets are alive with ambition and the skyline grows a little taller every year, for young people were trying to figure out their place in the world. Ethan had always believed he was meant for something bigger. He wasn't exactly sure what that meant, but he felt it deep down. The problem was belief doesn't pay bills, and it doesn't make success show up overnight. Madison had a dream of becoming a doctor. She was smart, disciplined, and driven, but lately it felt like no matter how hard she worked, she kept falling short. Jake was creative. He wanted to build something of his own, maybe a business, maybe something online. But ideas stayed ideas, and fear kept him from taking real action. And then there was Chloe. She didn't care about titles or status. She just wanted a life where she didn't have to struggle every single day. A life where her family didn't have to worry about money. They were different in many ways, but they had one thing in common. They were tired. Tired of trying and not seeing results. Tired of watching other people succeed. Tired of wondering if maybe they just weren't good enough. One night, they found themselves sitting outside a small diner, the kind of place that stays open late for people who have nowhere else to go. The air was quiet. Too quiet. Ethan stared at the ground and said, "Do you ever feel like no matter what you do, it's just not enough?" No one answered right away, because they all felt it. Madison finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "I failed my exam again." Jake let out a dry laugh. "At least you're trying." Eve had been sitting on the same idea for months. "I don't even know where to start anymore." Chloe looked at them, then down at her hands. "Maybe this is just how life is for us." And just like that, the thought entered the room. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is as far as we go. Maybe the dream was never meant to happen. Days turned into weeks. And slowly, without even realizing it, they began to let go. Ethan stopped working on his goals. Madison stopped pushing herself the way she used to. Jake stopped talking about his ideas. Chloe stopped believing things could change. Nothing dramatic happened. No big failure. Just silence. Just stillness. Just quitting in the quietest way possible. And that's how most people lose. Not in one big moment, but in small decisions, repeated every day. Then one evening, something shifted. Madison was cleaning her room when she found an old piece of paper tucked inside a book. It was something she had written years ago. "I will not let my current situation define my future." She read it once, then again, and something inside her woke up. Not motivation, not excitement, something stronger. A realization. She had changed, not her circumstances, but her mindset. She had gone from someone who refused to quit to someone who accepted defeat. The next morning, she called the others. They met again, same diner, same table. But this time, the silence felt different. Madison looked at each of them and said, "If we stop now, this is our life. Nothing changes. Nothing gets better. Is that really what we want?" Ethan leaned back, exhaling slowly. "I'm exhausted." "I know," she said. "Me too." Jake shook his head. "What if we try again and nothing happens?" Chloe added quietly, "What if we're just not meant for more?" Madison paused. Then she said something simple. "Then at least we'll know we didn't quit on ourselves." That hit harder than anything else. Because deep down, they knew. They hadn't really failed. They had just stopped trying. Ethan looked up. "All right, one more time." Jake nodded slowly. "Yeah, one more time." Chloe took a breath. "Okay." No big speeches. No dramatic moment. Just a decision. One more try. And that's where everything began to change. Not overnight. Not instantly. But steadily. Ethan started working again, even when he didn't feel like it. Especially when he didn't feel like it. Madison studied again, but this time without overwhelming herself. Just consistent, focused effort. Jake finally acted on his idea. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't polished, but it was real. Chloe started learning new skills after work, even when she was tired. Days passed. Nothing happened. Then more days passed. Still nothing. But they kept going. And that's the part most people never see. The quiet work. The slow progress. The days where nothing seems to change. Until one day, something does. Ethan built something small, and someone noticed. Madison passed her exam. Jake made his first dollar from his idea. Chloe got an opportunity she never thought she'd have. It wasn't huge. It wasn't life-changing overnight. But it was proof. Proof that effort matters. Proof that persistence works. Proof that they were closer than they thought. And in that moment, they understood something most people spend years trying to learn. The difference between failure and success isn't talent. It isn't luck. It isn't even timing. It's the decision to keep going. When everything in you wants to stop. Years later, their lives look different. Not perfect, but better, stronger, more stable, more fulfilled. And if you ask them what changed everything, they wouldn't say it was a breakthrough. They wouldn't say it was luck. They would tell you it was one simple moment. The moment they chose to try again. Don't stop when you're tired. Stop when you're done. Small steps every day lead to massive results over time. Your future is built by what you do today, not tomorrow. And remember, the only person who can truly stop you is you. So now the question is simple. When things get hard, when progress feels slow, when quitting feels easier, what will you do? Will you stop? Or will you try one more time? When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. That idea, often associated with Wayne Dyer, reminds us of something powerful. Your life is not only shaped by what happens to you, but by how you interpret what happens to you. Think about that for a moment. Two people can go through the same struggle and walk away with completely different outcomes. One sees failure. The other sees a lesson. One stops. The other grows. And that difference changes everything. There's a principle deeply rooted in human history, one that philosophers and scholars have repeated across generations. Aristotle once said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Not a single moment. Not one lucky break. But what you do every single day. And that's where most people get it wrong. They wait for motivation. They wait for the perfect time. They wait until they feel ready. But excellence doesn't wait. It is built quietly, in repetition, in discipline, in consistency, even when no one is watching, even when it feels like nothing is changing, because growth is not always visible at the beginning. And that's why so many people quit too early. But then you hear the words of Albert Einstein, who said, "It's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer." Let that sink in. One of the greatest minds in history didn't credit talent. He credited persistence, staying longer, trying longer, thinking longer. While others gave up, he stayed. And maybe that's the difference you've been looking for. Not a new strategy, not a secret formula, just the willingness to stay in the process longer than most people are willing to. Because success often hides behind the moment you feel like quitting. And if you walk away too soon, you never see what was waiting for you. There's also a deeper truth about struggle. A truth captured beautifully by Friedrich Nietzsche, who said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." In other words, when your purpose is strong enough, the pain becomes bearable. The setbacks don't break you. The delays don't stop you. Because you are not just working. You are driven. Driven by something deeper than comfort. Driven by meaning. And when you find that meaning, something changes inside you. You stop asking, "Why is this so hard?" And you start saying, "This is part of the journey." That shift alone can transform your entire life. Because now, challenges are no longer obstacles. They become training. They become preparation. They become the very thing shaping you into the person you need to become.